Hi everybody, it's Walking Man Walks back again. Today I have a cautionary tale for you of dating in the Philippines. Before I get to it, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share my videos. And if you want or you need, go ahead and comment below.
I like to be educated, but I'm so frustrated. Hello to my loneliness. I guess that ignorance is.
Okay, let's get started. So, back in 2019 was my first foray into the Philippines. I had been traveling quite a bit. If you guys follow my vlog, you know that I'm a career seasonal ranger, and for the US government, I get furloughed in the winter, so at that time I usually travel 4 or 5 months each winter. It's getting shorter, unfortunately. So I had been going to Costa Rica. I had worked in Chile in the past, and I had spent some time in Chile on my forays too. But I've been going to Costa Rica, places like Colombia, and mostly Latin America. It's close, a quick flight from Colorado, very accessible. So it was easy to get to. But I was getting a little burned out on those countries. One, because I've said this before in my vlogs. I struggle at learning languages. I do know Spanish, but when people talk fast and stuff, and the different dialects, like between Chile and Argentina, it just was hard for me to understand. And not immersing myself in those Latin American countries, like living there for months and months. At the time, this is before my mom passed away, so I would spend a few months with her in New York, fixing up her house, doing repairs and helping her out. She was in her 80s, doing what I could for her. And then I would, take a month or so and go travel before I had to go back to work. That's why places close like Costa Rica, Colombia, Chile, which is 8 hours but still close, Argentina, even Ecuador I've traveled in. And I love all those places. I love those cultures. I have nothing against them, but for one, Latin America is much more dangerous than Southeast Asia. You just can't go out at night in the middle of a big Buenos Aires, for example, Latin America city, and it's not safe. Sao Paulo, Brazil, places like that, you are going to get robbed or something bad is going to happen. I even had, in Chile, when I was working there, I was in a club with a bunch of my workmates there, and this was like when I was around 40. I was not into clubbing, but they all wanted to go out. We had a night off from work. We didn't have to work the next day, so we decided to go out, and I was attacked by a local guy just because I was a white guy with long hair. At the time I had long hair. Luckily my Chilean friend was there to diffuse it, but for some reason Latinos or Hispanics are much more aggressive than Asians or Southeast Asians. So that being said, I decided in 2019 that I was gonna take a further flight and go to the Philippines. I've been watching some of my favorite vloggers at the time. I think Gio in the Philippines was one of the main guys I watched at the time, and he was just starting out then, I think. But I was looking for tips and stuff. He lived in Dumaguete, so did Paul, the old dog, lived in Dumaguete, so that was one of the places on my hit list. But as soon as I bought my ticket to the Philippines, I got on a dating site to, meet some girls there. It's kind of what I always did when I traveled when I was single. I traveled as a couple before, and obviously I don't look on a dating site first. And I've had people in the comments say sex tourism. That's not what it is. When you're traveling by yourself, sex tourism is going to a bar and say, like, Angeles City, the red light district of Angeles City, which is a city known for sex tourism, and looking for a girl that you're gonna pay to hook up with. That's sex tourism. When you get on a dating site before you travel to a country and you want to meet a girl to date and to have a companion while you're there, or even looking for something more serious, which I always have been. I've always been open to, a long-term dating situation. So anyway, I did that. I got on Pina Love, I think it was at the time, which is listed below if you want to check it out. It's a good dating site for the Philippines. One thing about it is if you get on there, you have to, weed out the girls who are on there just trying to scam you out of money, like any dating site, like Tinder, and find the good girls. I recommend looking for girls in the province. You could look on a map and see which girls are from the province and which girls are from the city. I've done a video a long time ago. I'm going to do another one on the difference between city girls and province girls. But anyway, carrying on with the same thought, I got on the dating site and I met a girl, and I was like, okay, this one seems good. She was like 26. I'm gonna meet up with her while I'm in the Philippines. She happened to live way down in Mindanao, northern Mindanao. I did a little research first where it was safer for a guy to go who's, looks like me, or probably you who's watching this video. I flew into Cebu and, spent a couple of weeks there, or a week there, checking it out, checking out the malls and stuff. It's okay. It's a big city, a lot of traffic. The main thing to do there is go to malls. I think there's not really any great beaches there. I did rent a scooter there and rode around the whole Cebu Island, went down to Dumaguete, which was really cool. It's kind of far to ride on a scooter. I'd rent a bigger motorcycle next time, but went to Aslab, Mobile, some of the big tourist spots. But those kind of places, you're not going to really meet the kind of girl that you want to have a relationship with, because the girls there are going to be, girls looking for tourists to take advantage of, or, just hook up or something like that. So I went down to northern Mindanao, Zama City, where this girl was located that I had met on the online dating site. And when I got there, I got an Airbnb and everything, and got in touch with her, and she knew I was coming. And long story short, it turns out, I talked to her a few times on the phone there, but she was just too nervous and too shy to meet me. And I just got kind of frustrated with the whole thing, and I was like, okay, then, like your typical American guy, I was like, let's just forget the whole thing then. If you're not going to meet me, I came all the way down here from Cebu to meet you. So because that didn't work out, I was like, I was maybe a little depressed. I was staying in this place by myself. I didn't know anybody, so I decided to get on the dating site again. And I did, and it just seemed like too much work to vet everybody. So I was watching, I think it was Gio in the Philippines, and he said, hey, one way you can meet girls down here is go on Facebook and look for friends of friends in your friend lists. And I have, a lot of friends on Facebook from traveling over the years, and I've been on Facebook since 2000 or something like that. And kayaking especially, I have a lot of friends, that are into the same hobbies as me on there. Anyway, I got on Facebook, and it turns out I knew somebody who knew somebody, and I started talking to this girl that happened to be in Ozama City on Facebook. So I started chatting with her, and I asked her, if she wanted to meet up. She was in the same city, not too far away. And she was like, no, she was in college and, busy and all this stuff, all these excuses. And I was like, okay, fine. And so it goes, as Kurt Vonnegut always says, right? A couple hours later, she messaged me back on Facebook, and she's like, I can't meet you, but a friend of mine wants to meet you. And I should have been suspicious then, but, being a red-blooded American man, lonely down in Ozama City, in Philippines, in a country I've never been to, I was like, okay. So she hooked us up on Facebook. We chatted on Facebook, me and this girl. I'm not going to say her name right now because she might be watching this, but I was like, okay, she's pretty, she was younger than the other two girls I had previously talked to, about 21, and that's common in the Philippines that a 21-year-old will go out with a 49 or 50-year-old guy, however old I was at that time. But anyway, we decided to meet up the next night for dinner. And, she let me know, and I already knew from research I had done that this was common, that she wanted to bring her two cousins to dinner with her, and of course, as the foreigner, you're expected to pay for everybody. But at that point, I was like, okay, fine. Her two cousins were one gay and one trans guy, which, is not that uncommon there, but it just seemed kind of weird. At the time, to me, I wasn't that used to, the whole, they call it lady boys down there. It's common. It's not an offensive word there, I don't think. But trans and the gay cousin, they're fully open about it. But anyway, we went to dinner at this like Mongolian grill type place, You know, it was nice. It was a Chinese-run place. It was fun. It was cheap, even for all four of us. It wasn't that much. And afterwards, the girl goes, she's like, "So let's go to the bar now and get a couple drinks. Karaoke bar." So we went there. We did karaoke. We drank. I don't drink that much, but I had a couple beers. And they were drinking daiquiris or whatever it is. Girls like to drink those sweet, fruity drinks. Towards the end of the night, she leans over, whispers in my ear, and says, "Hey, ask my cousin if you could have permission to take me to your hotel, and I'll stay with you tonight." And I was like, "Okay, sounds good." So I asked her cousin, which is also common there. She lost her parents when she was young. She grew up with her aunt and uncle, so this was the cousin that she lived with. It was like her older brother, basically. So he was like, "Sure, as long as you don't treat her badly." And I was like, "Yeah, of course I'm not going to treat her badly." But I'm sure he felt obligated to say that. So we went back to the hotel room, and me being a gentleman, I didn't really want to do anything with her. I liked her. It was the first night I met her, so we just slept in the same bed together, and we didn't have sex or anything. So next day, we go down to the Ukai Ukai, which it was kind of underneath a store, underneath the hotel room I was staying in, and she was looking around, and she liked this dress, and I bought it for her. And Ukai Ukai is, if you don't know, it's a thrift store in the Philippines. The dress was like a couple dollars. So we did that, and then we went back to the city. But we spent that day together, and it was time for me to move out of my Airbnb. So we decided to, do a little traveling together. So what they call a fast ferry ride there to Dumaguete and Bohol. So we did that for like a week. We went to Dumaguete, whereas if you don't know, it's like the expat bubble. Like all the expats live in Dumaguete. While we're in Dumaguete, COVID hit. So now all of a sudden COVID is coming on strong, and everybody's wearing masks, and the whole city cleared out. Nobody's around. Her cousin called us up, and he's like, "You should get her back here now. It's not safe, blah, blah, blah." So we went back to Ozama City. I didn't have a place to stay there, so I found another Airbnb, and it happened to be at this compound where this mixed family lived. It was a Filipina married to an American guy from New York, where I'm from, and they had an Airbnb room there. So I stayed there, and for the next month or so, I stayed at this Airbnb, got to know the family, had dinners with them. The girl I had met also stayed with me at the Airbnb most of the time. It had a nice roof area where you could hang out and cook and work out and mess around, do karaoke and all that stuff. And we spent a lot of time up there. But I should have known at the time, like a lot of these days, she was also working at her aunt's store down the road, which was in like the mall / flea market. It was like a little clothing shop her aunt had. But sometimes I would call her and there'd be no answer, and she wouldn't reply to me for hours, and I was always like, this is suspicious, But then she would show up, beautiful 21-year-old girl, and I'd be like, give me a bunch of excuses, and I'd be like, whatever, and go on with my day hanging out with her. So this went on for about a month. I finally was able to rebook my ticket, which had been canceled because it went through Hong Kong, and Hong Kong was completely closed down because of COVID. I rebooked my ticket. It was time to go back to work. A few weeks before I was getting ready to leave, the family there that I was staying with, who also had 30 condos they had built, my friend from New York who lived there, he was my friend now, and his father-in-law had built about 30 condos that they were selling, and they were like, "Hey, we have a business proposition for you. If you want to buy one of these condos, they've tripled in price in the last 3 years, basically, but they were still super cheap. I mean, this is one of the cheaper, less expensive parts of the Philippines to begin with, down in Mindanao. These condos were just small 2-bedroom condos, and you could buy a condo as an American in the Philippines. You just can't buy land, but you could buy a condo, no problem. And they offered me one of the condos for like the total price of the condo was $20,000 with $5,000 down. So I thought about it for a few days, and I said okay. And me and the father-in-law went to the lawyer and went through all the paperwork. I transferred the money, the $5,000 over to him, and I had this condo. which I still have to this day, by the way. But I just don't go there that much. I need to go there, but I don't go there that much. I had all these plans to turn it into an Airbnb and everything, but my plans changed, and now there's a family renting it long term. But anyway, I ended up buying this condo, and I felt good about it at the time. I had a place to retreat to. If the world fell apart because of COVID, you remember how we all felt in early 2020, and I was watching all these videos of these guys online saying it was the end of the world and stuff. I mean, I didn't necessarily buy into it, but you know how it was. If you were there, if you know. But anyway, when I was getting ready to leave, I was like, to the girl who I was seeing all the time now, we were planning on keeping the relationship going, I was like, why don't you just stay in the condo? And it was costing me practically nothing, and she could work at her sister's store, her aunt's store, and take care of the condo for me. Great. So that's what I did, and that was one of my biggest mistakes. So, and she wasn't like all the Filipina stories you hear where she was asking for money for her family and stuff, and I mean, there was almost none of that. Wasn't really an issue like that. However, I went back to Colorado and I started working again, and it was like worse than when I was there. She would disappear on Facebook. That's how everybody keeps in touch, Facebook Messenger, for days and not message me. And it was during COVID, and I was living in my RV in Colorado by myself. It was kind of a tough time for me, but I've always been kind of stoic and strong like that, so I was able to just put it in the back of my head. I was playing a lot of guitar at the time, doing other stuff to keep my mind occupied and not worrying about it so much. Till one time her trans cousin called me at like 4 in the morning, the one that was at the original dinner with me, and he said, listen, she is seeing other guys, and you need to know this. And I was like, I didn't really want to hear it, so I was like, man, I don't care. And I hung up on him, and I feel bad about the way I hung up on him and treated him like that at the time, but I just didn't want to hear it. It was 4 o'clock in the morning, and after that I was talking to her less and less, but the problem was she was still living in my condo. So only to find out drips and drabs from the family, luckily, who I bought the condo from, they were kind of watching it for me, that she had, a bunch of people living there and this, that, and the other thing. And so now it's getting to the next year, and it's already like time for my furlough again, but I can't go back to the Philippines to the condo I just bought, and the girl that I was seeing, or I almost didn't feel like we were seeing each other anymore, and I couldn't do anything really about her being in the condo. But because we couldn't travel, especially the Philippines was closed for like 2 years at the time, I think, nobody in or out. So I decided I was going to drive my RV down to Mexico that year and spend the winter in Mexico, because I couldn't go anywhere else. That's what I did. So I happened to be in New Mexico on January 6th. Not Old Mexico, New Mexico. I was going back and forth between New Mexico and Old Mexico at the time. And I always remember it's January 6th because I was hiking, listening to what was going on at the Capitol at that time. And for the past few days before that, I've been trying to get in touch with her. Her aunt told me she was in the hospital. I didn't know what was going on. Even though our relationship seemed like it was falling apart, I was still worried about her. I'm an empathetic guy, and of course you're going to worry about somebody. And I finally got a call from her after trying to call her for a few days after her aunt, because I called her aunt when I couldn't get in touch with her. I finally got a call from her, and she confessed to me that she was pregnant. I did the math really quick that it was 10 months ago or 12 months ago that I had been in the Philippines. So, and besides, we were using protection because I didn't want to have a baby. She kept saying, oh, it's up to you if you want to use a condom when we had sex, but I kept just using one. But anyway, I was, of course, heartbroken at the time when I found this out. In hindsight, I think that she didn't purposely go out and get pregnant and cheat on me and stuff, but going out and partying as a 21-year-old girl and all that stuff, it happened. And I told her, okay, I'm gonna give you, I think I gave her 2 months or something to get out of the condo and just forget you ever knew me, basically. So this is my cautionary tale about dating girls in the Philippines and the signs you want to look out for, like the communication issues, if they disappear on you, that kind of thing. And going back to the beginning of my story, the way that we were set up was also a little suspicious. Like, she wanted to meet me without ever knowing me, which, you know, she probably just wanted to meet me in the beginning just for my knowing that I was an American, an older American, you know, traveling in the Philippines. So guys, when you're dating in the Philippines, stay, you know, that's one thing. You know, she liked to party, she liked to drink. I would completely stay away from that. Find yourself a girl from the province, like my current girlfriend, who, you know, grew up in the province. Yes, she grew up poor, but she doesn't drink, she doesn't party, she just likes to hang out with me. She has friends, yes, but her friends are also good girls who don't drink and party and go to bars and stuff like that. That's what you want to look for. Okay guys, I know that was a rather long video, but I just wanted to put that out there. I made a video about it a long time ago when I first started making videos, but I just wanted to make a better version of it, and I'll see you guys next time.
The end.